Today we are going to see how endpoints work in Simulx. In the previous video, we have shown how to calculate outcomes. As a reminder, outcomes are post-processing of the simulated values that result in one value per individual. This value can be a double, such as the Cmax for instance, or the time until an event, such as the Tmax considered as time to event data and displayed as Kaplan-Meier curve, or a true-false value depending if a condition is met. The next step is to summarize these outcomes for each of the simulation groups, and this is what we call endpoints. In the graphical user interface of Simulx, endpoints are chosen in this column here, and I will make this bigger. The possible choices for the endpoint depend on the type of outcome, double, time to event, or true-false. If I have an outcome that is a double, I can choose as endpoint to calculate the arithmetic mean, the geometric mean, or the median. If the outcome is of type to event, the only possible endpoint is the median survival, so the time at which the survival is equal to 50%. And if the outcome is a true-false value, the endpoint will be the percentage of individuals having a true value. In this example, it will be the percentage of people for which the response variable has decreased to less than 20% of the baseline value, according to the definition of the outcome. It is possible to edit the name of the endpoint by clicking on this button here. If I now run the outcome and endpoint task, I can see the calculated endpoints in the results tab. In addition to the endpoint itself, I get also additional information about the outcome values, such as the standard deviation in case of the arithmetic mean, the coefficient of variation in case of the geometric mean, percentiles in case of the median, a confidence interval in case of the median survival, and the total number of individuals being true in case of a percentage for true-false values. These metrics give information about the variability of the outcome from individual to individual. If I run a single simulation, I get plots for the outcomes, but I don't get any plots for the endpoint, as the endpoint is just a single value for each simulation group. Now let's see what happens if I set several replicates. In that case, the endpoint will be calculated for each simulation group and each replicate. Let's run this. In the results, I now see a table showing the value of the endpoint for each replicate. In addition, I also have a summary table showing the mean, median, and max over all replicates. In the plots, I can see the endpoint distribution over replicates. Whatever the type of outcome and endpoint, it is always represented as a box plot, which represents the variability of the endpoint from replicate to replicate. It can also be interpreted as the uncertainty of the endpoint. As for outcomes, endpoints values are also saved as text files in the result folder that I can access from this button here in Endpoints. From the 2023 version on, you can define outcome and endpoints through the Lixoft connectors also. Here, for instance, I start from a project which has already a simulation defined, but no outcome and endpoints. To define outcomes, I use the define outcome function. If I go back to the graphical user interface, you remember that to define an outcome, I need to give it a name, define from which output element it will be the post-processing, if it is relative to a value or not, the output processing, possibly additional options, and if I want to apply a threshold. In the connector, I will do something similar. In the define outcome function, I first give the name of this outcome. Here I have called it Cmax. Then I have an argument called element that is a list, where I can list all the different options that I would also choose in the graphical user interface. So I choose which of the output elements I want to post-process. In that case, my element is called cons for the concentration. And then my post-processing will be the max. So it's here I define it as a list with operator equal max. All the possible options are, as usual, defined in our documentation. If instead of the Cmax, I want to define the Tmax, I need to define one additional option, so it starts in the same way, but in addition here, I define that instead of the value of the max, I want the time of the max, and I want to consider it as time to event. So this is why here I have type equal time event. To get the true-false value, whether the response drops lower than 20% of the baseline, I would post-process the output called response, divided to do a ratio with the baseline, and then take the minimum of all values, and finally apply a threshold to check if it is below 0.2. So that would be the way to define the three same outcomes as in the graphical user interface, as shown in the previous video too. Then I can define endpoints. To do so, I call define endpoint, and here I need to give the name of the endpoint, and then select on which outcome it will act, which outcome it will summarize, and with which metrics. That's pretty straightforward. So here I've calculated the arithmetic mean of the Cmax, the Kaplan-Meier of the Tmax, and the percentage of individuals being true for the threshold PD outcome. To run the calculation, I call run endpoints, and this calculates both outcome and endpoints. And finally, I retrieve all results with get endpoint results. Get endpoint results returns a list of data frames with the outcomes for each individual and the endpoint for each simulation group and each replicate. In a future video, we will show you how to test if the difference seen in the endpoint between groups is significant or not. Have a nice week!